Thank everybody for tuning in for another episode of Head to Head Sports. I'm your host, Brian Parker, along with my co-host, Mr. Randall Hargrove. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, B?
Man. Another week. Oh, my goodness. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Wherever you're tuning in from, we are live streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter, or Elon's biggest F up ever. I guess I shouldn't say that. He might take me down. But anyway, uh, he may. We're also streaming live on Amazon Fire TV as well as Roku TV, as well as LinkedIn, Facebook Live, and YouTube TV. You can check us out on all those platforms under Empower TV. Like, share, but most importantly, please subscribe. We definitely would appreciate that. Appreciate all the viewers for tuning in and always giving us your feedback and your comments. They are very, very much appreciated. Head to Head Sports airs every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. on all of those aforementioned platforms, live and direct. And we do this show every NFL season. This is season 4 for us, and it's 26 weeks, and it's hard to believe that we've already gotten into 12 weeks into the NFL. We're down to the last couple of games in the season, Rand. Unbelievable.
Yeah, actually 13 weeks. We're starting week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm tripping. 13 weeks.
Yep. So apologize to the viewers tonight, coming at you from the comforts of the bed. I am trying to get over not COVID, but actually the COVID booster. Oh man. I took a COVID booster and a flu shot, and that thing has got me down, man.
Oh wow, you did them both at the same time?
Yeah, for the last time. I ain't doing this again.
Yeah, I did both. I was worried that that was gonna do too much at one time, but I went ahead and did them both, and I was shocked and amazed that I actually did not get sick. The last time I had a flu shot, I was sick as a dog, and the doctor said, "Well, the flu shot can't make you sick. Can't make you sick because it's the dead virus." And I'm like,
Yeah,
you should have told that to my body a couple of days ago when I actually ended up having the flu. It was more of a coincidence. It wasn't the flu shot. Now and then it's funny because then when I don't get the flu shot, seemingly I don't have that coincidence anymore. So that's pretty funny. What's up, Mr. Wes Davidson? Man, that CF piece got you down.
Hell yeah, bro.
Me too. Listen, I know this is an NFL show, but I was definitely going to throw that out there just to see what people thought about
Ridiculous.
the CFP. Not only their decision, but then their explanation of the decision. You always hear about how sometimes the cover up is worse than the crime. It seemed like their explanation was just as effed up as what they actually came out with. Like, okay.
Just say what it is, man. You were afraid to leave an SEC team out of the
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
championship.
That's it.
That's it.
There's no way. Listen, it should not matter. Okay, if having your starting quarterback was that much of an issue, but yet they still found a way to beat Louisville, says a lot more about that team to me than anything.
Sure does.
Because they could have laid down, they could have just sat there and given up and lost the game, and nobody would have faulted them because everybody would have fell back on if only we had our starting quarterback, and they would have been able to play that out. But they went out, wasn't a high scoring game, but they won their game. They did everything that they were supposed to do. You tell these Power Five teams, hey, if you sit there, you have a winning record like that. I mean, have we ever had a Power Five team with go undefeated like that and not make it?
Never. This is the first time. That's why it's so controversial.
Y'all done scared of Nick Saban. Come on.
Yeah.
Nick got y'all stuck like that. Come on.
Yeah, man. I mean, they would rather take the heat of leaving an ACC team out that's undefeated than to leave out a one-loss SEC team, and it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame to those kids on the team
Yep.
who have fought and scrapped to get to their
Thank you.
place and then are not allowed to even step foot on a football field to find out if they are going to be a champion.
Yeah, because
Um,
you tell them all this time, hey, you're good enough. You're in a Power Five conference. You're good enough. You're good enough. And then when it comes down to it, they can go undefeated. And then you basically telling them, well, I know we told y'all was on the same level and y'all good enough, but
but
shit, not really.
yeah, yeah,
Come on. I mean, that's just crazy. Anthony, what's going on, Anthony? He says, I feel that if it was a 12-team playoffs, Florida State would be number 3. But since it's a 14 playoffs, they put it's all about money. What brings in money? Texas, Alabama, Michigan, and now Washington.
preach, preach, brother, preach.
But see, it shouldn't be about money. I mean, I
Shouldn't
mean,
be.
the money is there. The money would have still been there with Florida. It's Florida State.
Yeah,
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I saw in Charlotte on Saturday, as early as 11 a.m. Wasn't nothing but Florida State in downtown Charlotte. These sons of guns will travel. They were spending money. Don't give me this whole thing about money. Florida State will travel. They spend money. They were here and they were loud and they were all over the place. Trust me, if you were anywhere near College Street, South Tryon Street, North Tryon Street, Moorhead, there's no way in the world you ain't seen nobody in Florida State. They had so many tailgates, excuse me, downtown Charlotte. It was utterly ridiculous.
they
The
do travel, B, but this is the thing. They're not going to leave out an undefeated Michigan. They're not going to leave out an undefeated Washington.
Yep.
But, they will leave out an undefeated Florida State.
Alabama wasn't undefeated.
Nope, but they're SEC. Yeah, exactly. Damn
See,
shame.
that shouldn't just be your ticket punch right there.
Yeah, it
That's
shouldn't be.
crazy.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. See, that's crazy. Yeah, because Ohio State don't get a ticket punch like that. I'm
man,
saying that's just stupid.
it
Anthony
is.
says the best teams wasn't in the playoffs. Wes says what bothers me is the most is you're at the start of the season and you're FSU. You literally couldn't have done anything more. That's what bothers me. You
Yeah,
did everything that you were supposed to do.
that's right.
By right, you should be there because you did everything. There ain't nothing you could have done. You couldn't have gone no more undefeated than you did.
The only thing they could have done was keep their quarterback healthy,
But you,
and that's not their fault.
but let me ask you this: do you really think if the quarterback had been healthy, they would have still kept him out? You think then they would have told Saban, "Hey, as long as we got that excuse, we good. But if we don't have that, then
Yeah, I think because I mean they literally have no excuse at that point. Florida State, their competition level was not as strong as some of the other teams, but I mean neither was Michigan. So
right." And there was some questions around Michigan's wins.
yeah, so
There's some extra eyeballs going on. So no matter what, it's out of your hands, says Wes. Anthony says, if I was Florida State, I wouldn't play in the bowl game. Yeah, but now you're hurting your team, you're hurting your school. Those are funds that they get. Um, the CFP ain't gonna be hurt if you opt out of a bowl game. I mean, you can protest all you want, but it
you
doesn't
know
it
what?
doesn't hurt you.
Beyond that, they need to step on that field, man.
Yeah,
And if they so much as hold Georgia in the teens, that's a victory. That's a victory. I don't
mm,
care if they lose. They could go out there and lose 17-13. They've made a major statement on that football field.
yeah.
Y'all
And
left us out against the former number one team in the nation, and you will never know what could have happened if we got in.
because you took it from us prematurely.
That's right.
Yeah, Anthony also had said that if Georgia blows out Florida State, people are going to say, "We told you so." Shouldn't have been in. Well, you can play the what if game. Um, that's not what that would mean. Hell, it could also mean that maybe they were so bummed out that they just didn't bring their full A game because they feel like they were playing in the game they shouldn't be playing in. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to remember this: these are kids. These aren't NFL players that's been around for a while and, you know, professional athletes, so to speak. These are still 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Um, there's a lot of other things tied to this, so you got to keep that factor in there too. West said the SEC also had an off year this year.
They did. They got
Exactly.
beat head to head by the ACC.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And West says, and the whole damn year, people talking about how Georgia shouldn't be number one and their schedule was trash, yet beating them one time in the championship gets you in the CFP. Shaking my head. Yeah, absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing that kills you is it's one thing when I mean the only people I can imagine that are happy about this are Alabama people, Alabama fans. If you ain't
Yeah.
in Tuscaloosa or something like that, then the rest of the nation, you probably pissed. So you know that your line of thinking was just effing wrong. I mean, that's just crazy. Um that just makes absolutely no sense. I mean, you're not gonna make everybody happy, but even Florida, I mean, even Alabama fans, if you were to say, "Hey, y'all, what we gonna do? They 13-0," they wouldn't have liked it, but they would say, "You know what? 13-0." I mean, they're not gonna sit there and go, "But for their quarterback." Nobody in Alabama would have said that. Would they have been pissed? Yes. But if they look at the records and stuff like that, would they be able to sit there and go, "Well, they do have a better record. And they did this, they did that, and they won in spite of the fact that they didn't have their quarterback." They're not going to sit there and tote that line. But if not for the quarterback, really?
Yeah.
So
I
you telling me
never.
they not there because of a dude?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they are literally home because of a guy, and that's just wrong.
So
That's
now
wrong.
you just told that team one dude is the reason that you ain't there.
Yeah,
That's what y'all really want to communicate.
that is what they're standing on, bro.
Ow. That's just stupid. I mean, who's your PR person? They would say, "Well, that kind of sounds like you're blaming the kid getting hurt for his whole team not going to the playoffs." Yeah,
Not
that's
to
what we're
mention,
saying.
Florida State has one of the top defenses in the nation. So, I mean, that makes a difference.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then Anthony says, "Side note: I got Texas winning it all." And he said, "Let's be real. Michigan won it uh, an easy road to the finals with Florida State. Now they're playing Alabama. Now they mad. Hey, it's just unfortunate. My heart bleeds for those kids down at Florida State because I don't know what else. I don't know what else they could have done aside from slap a couple of dollars on the table and just said, "Y'all make the right decision." Um, and it shouldn't come down to that. Like I said, they spend a lot of money too. Um, I don't get it. I mean, they're Florida State, my God. I mean, it's not like how far removed are they from being one of those powerhouse teams back in the day that could just turn up some stuff. I mean, they're not like a name out of nowhere. You've had Baylor's and other colleges like that and TCU's and stuff like that. You're telling me Florida State, Florida freaking State. So I'm sorry. And listen, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm a Carolina fan. So, anywhere I go right now, but between North Carolina Tar Heels and Carolina Panthers, I should be doing this show with a damn bag on my head. It just get too hot for that. Otherwise, I
Yeah,
really would wear a bag. But y'all already know what I look like, so the bag ain't gonna really matter. But so I got no dog in the fight. You know, my dog won't hunt. Shit.
just let me know when you're ready to talk these Carolina Panthers, because I got a lot to say, bro.
Okay, yeah, we about to jump into it. Wes says also, no matter who wins now, it tarnishes the CFP this year because of Florida State not being there, which isn't fair either. Yeah, you got a good point there, Wes, because now there's going to be that second. Everybody gonna play the what if game. Well,
Yeah,
this is the hand we've been dealt, so we got to figure it out. I mean, it's not going to diminish who the champion is. There's not going to be an asterisk beside them or anything like that. And unfortunately, 3 or 4 years from now, nobody's even going to bring up the fact that Florida State got totally jobbed, which is a shame. But they'll move on to the next controversy that's around the corner, and this will be kind of more of a footnote than anything else. So that is unfortunate.
yeah, they'll be debating about Team 13 that didn't get in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, though, the thing that I'm wondering is Is this a precedent that CFP is setting? Or, I mean, because if this same situation happens again and they go in a different direction, then you're going to get some of us that are going to be old enough to remember to come back at them and go, well, wait a minute. When Florida State was in the same situation, y'all said, but if not for the quarterback, now you're going the other way. Which one is it?
Yeah, I
Are you
seriously doubt you ever see this
are you
though.
saying that your previous decision was wrong?
Yeah, I seriously doubt you ever see this though with 12 teams being let in,
Yeah,
12 teams plus being undefeated. I don't think, especially not for power conference. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, we'll jump into the to the NFL. But if y'all got any more comments, keep them coming. I'll read them out and we'll go back in. But it seems like let's see, Wes says y'all gonna help Belichick go house shopping in Charlotte, Randall Bryant. Hell,
man, hell no.
look, I saw somebody post something about that, talking about Tepper gonna go after Belichick if he get released. You know, Rand, people have asked me more times than not this week, what's wrong with my Panthers? I have said the exact same thing every time. And I think I said it on the show last week, and I continue to say it. Some people think that money means you the smartest person in the room, and they don't realize that the money was there for you to hire more smart people in the room than yourself. Um, that's what's wrong with the Panthers is you got an owner that thinks that because he's made all of this money, ultimately uh he he is the person that's more knowledgeable than anybody else on how the franchise should go. Now he can sit there and have um his preferences of what he would like to see happen, but he should also hire other people and listen to other voices that say, well, the way to get there, it's always like, hey, I want to plan a trip. And I might be good at driving, but maybe I need a good navigator beside me to give me the best route to get there. If I do it on my own, I might eventually get there, but maybe I'm not taking the best routes, best shortcuts, being as effective and efficient as I can. So sometimes the thing is, hey, you stay behind the wheel, I'll get you there. And between the both of us teaming up together, we're going to do it in a way where it's safe, it's productive, and it's effective. That's what you would do. But this guy seemed to think, nope, I'm going to drive, I'm going to direct, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's blowing all up in his face. You won't have no more fingers to point because you done fired everybody that you could blame. The only person that's left and the only thing that's the consistent factor through all of these years that you've now been the owner is you. Ain't nobody else for you to blame. There
Yeah,
ain't nobody on that team that was there when you first took over. It's just you, bro. Same results. Who
now
else
that
can
Frank
you blame?
Wright has been fired, there's a lot of news that's coming out about everything that was going on behind the scenes. You talking about just absolute total dysfunction, B.
Yep.
Um, he first of all, it was Tepper that pretty much stated that the team needed to go after a diverse kind of coaching um, of the backup coaches. I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Um, so they hire all these dudes and they call it the all-star coaching tree that they got in place. Caldwell and McNown and all these other guys,
Duke Staley. Yeah.
Deuce Staley. And turns out that was just not the best method to approach. It turns out that all those guys had their own. Once things started going sour, all those guys had their own way to fix it. And Frank Reich, pretty much, he had his way to fix it, and he wanted it to go one way. It pissed off some of the other coaches in the room. They started sending text messages to Tepper behind Frank Reich's back. Hey, man, this guy don't know what he's doing. Yeah, you talking about dysfunction
Wow.
city, man. I'm talking, just it's terrible down there. And Bryce being added to that mix. You and I both under the same thought pattern that Bryce is he's a bust, but we're gonna have to do what we do with him. But it's coming out that Frank Reich was, first of all, very hard on Bryce when Bryce was, in the, like say, week one, week two, and not performing well. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's coming to the light now that Frank Reich backed off of Bryce because he realized that it was shaking Bryce's confidence. That's a red flag, bro. That's a red flag. You got a quarterback number one in the draft, and you worried about this guy and his confidence being shaken by what the coach has to say to him. To me, that just says, again, we got the wrong dude. We picked the wrong quarterback.
You're telling me out of 224 players that get drafted every year, roughly, the one that got picked number one's confidence can be rattled because a coach is being hard on him.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And that is why Frank Reich, it was reported, it's being reported, and it's a very reputable source. You could look it up in Charlotte Observer today.
Mm-hmm.
That Frank Reich at that time backed off of him and then started doing things like you and I kind of talked about before, the ankle injury, which they pulled him out, simplified the playbook to try to cater to Bryce, build up his confidence. And you see the result of that. One of the most simplistic caveman offenses in the entire league.
Right. Yeah.
It's a mess, man.
Which when you have a offensive line that struggles like that, you really can't have a simplistic offense because you're going to have to do things to cater more to covering up the deficiencies of your line, the shortcomings of your quarterback, who he ain't gonna get no taller. So as much as I, cry about the fact that he's a short quarterback, he is what he is. You're gonna have to design your playbook around his height. When it's same thing you would do is if you have a quarterback that's not a very mobile quarterback, you're not going to see RPOs in your offense. You're going to design plays that he has a chance of completing, unless you're going to go the route of New Orleans that has gadget man Taysom Hill. That when you do want to run plays like that, you just insert him in there, and everybody pretty much knows it's an RPO, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to keep it. Um, I've never understood how that play works because they know that 99% of the time Hill isn't going to pass it, and still he gets positive yards. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Um, but if you know what Bryce is and who Bryce is, you need to cater your offense that's going to highlight the things that he does best. I don't know what he does best. I was told that what he did best was he's able to look over the field and be able to go through reads very, very, very fast. I've not seen any evidence of that.
I have not seen
I've
a
heard about it.
shred.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it,
I
but I
haven't
heard
seen
about it.
a shred of evidence of that.
So I don't. So
Mhm.
somebody says, "Well, what does he do well?" I guess fall backwards.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me with that one because I can't tell you
I
what
don't
he
know.
does with it.
Yeah, I would love to be able to say, you know what? If he did more of X, they could have a little bit more success. Even if it doesn't show up on the scoreboard, maybe it shows up on a stat like third down conversions. Maybe it shows up on a stat like completion percentage, yards per game, yards per pass completed. Maybe it will show up in stats like that. Maybe it'll show up in better stats like time of possession, because you're not three and out, punt, punt, punt. I could see it there. Maybe it doesn't show up at the end of the day, but you can say, you know what? They didn't win, but I'm seeing some good stuff here, here, and here to point to. I got nothing. I don't
No,
know what they do well.
you know, I was sitting here thinking earlier in the day. I might be able to think of two times where I looked at Bryce Young and a play he's made, and I was like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
Maybe two times all year long. Can you
Same.
think of a time? Can you think of like several times where you've been wowed by
No,
Bryce?
no, I've seen some complete. Well, here's the thing. I said wow, but when I went back and looked at it, it wasn't, normally when a quarterback wows you, what makes a quarterback special are that there's certain throws that only certain kind of quarterbacks can make. Whether it's tight windows, whether it's leading the receiver open. But he made some on time throws, and I was like, wow, that was a good pass. But I had to go back and say, you know what? A third round pick could have made that pass.
That's the expectation.
Yeah, right. So I had to kind of go back and go, wait a minute. Will Levis makes that pass.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Browning makes that pass. Josh Dobbs could make that pass. Uh, um, Lord Seattle.
Geno.
Geno Smith could make that pass. Hell, I've seen Baker make it. But when I saw him do it, after not seeing him do it before, it was a wow because I was like, oh, he can do it. And then I didn't see it again.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was coincidence or luck. Or it just, hey, what they say, a broke clock is right twice a day. Maybe he was just a broke clock in that instance.
Yeah.
I've seen more that's left to be desired than I've seen anything that I would say this is promising. This is something that we can build on. I even saw a report where they talked about they were wanting to bench him for Dalton after the first couple of weeks, but Tepper wasn't going for that. And I'm like, okay, but that's more of an ego to say, well, I don't want to be wrong for pushing the fact that he should be the starter for day one when you were wrong, because the strategy should have always been the NFC South is for the taking. It is a winnable division, even with a very mediocre record. Even if you can only muster up 8 to 9 games, you could win the NFC South. Knowing that your fan base, since you got here, has been yearning to see playoffs. And you got a young quarterback who is 120 pounds soaking wet, undersized. You know your offensive line has issues, which I didn't know their issues were that bad until the season started. But they had to know how bad it was.
Well, I got something on that too. So
All right.
the offensive line, right? With Foreman last year running the ball, they were great.
Yeah.
There were no protection issues last year either.
Yep.
So this is the thing I'm just now finding out. Frank Reich wanted when he took this team over, the Panthers had a straight ahead, hat on hat, downhill run game. That means man on man, get your man out the way, straight downhill, or 2-on-1s in certain areas to make holes in the defensive line that the offense can run through, the running backs can run through. That worked to great success last year. Matter of fact, that's what Wilkes employed, and was able to have the team going 6-6 down the stretch. Frank Reich comes in and he wants to change it and go to a zone blocking scheme. So that's why you're seeing all these holes. Why would you do that when something was successful from last season, as successful as it was? You take that away, and then you make these guys learn something different. It's why if he is struggling,
not only that, but they're not designed for zone blocking.
They're not designed for that. That's a smaller offensive line that's shiftier, faster.
Right. They got to get your
to
hands on you
those
because
areas
they're not like Dave Gettleman used to call them hog mollies.
Right.
So you got to use them like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Why in the hell would you make that decision? But when Wright makes that decision, then he's got, other coaches and even the play caller, I'm forgetting his name, that Wright took the responsibility from.
Thomas Brown. Thomas Brown, yeah.
Yeah. Brown was not happy with that. Started sending stuff behind Reich's back up to Tepper. Tepper's now having meetings with these coaches absent of Frank Reich, and that's not the way it's supposed to go. It's a mess, man. It was a complete disaster. Complete disaster.
And the coaches.
So that's why we saw some of the assistant coaches that go along with Frank Reich as well. So
wow.
Yeah. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Wow. Well, the one thing that did happen also with them is with their loss to the Buccaneers, they are now mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So
as if we didn't know.
But I will say there was a whole bunch of y'all on this show They try to tell me when I said one game against Houston was could be the only game they win all year. Oh, nah, B. There's about 3 or 4 other games they could win. And I went through the schedule in that show and said, tell me which one. Which one is
I remember. I'm
Remember?
wrong, bro. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Because I said, well, maybe they could beat this, and maybe they could beat this team. No, I was 100% wrong. You were 100% right. I'm on board with you now. Who in the hell are they going to
They
beat?
can't. There's no
Nobody.
way.
Nobody.
No way in the world. I wouldn't trust them if it was 2 seconds left in the game. They were down by 2 and about to kick a 17-yard field goal. They still gonna lose the damn game. Ain't no way in the hell they gonna win that game. Pinheiro gonna slip on the turf. They gonna block the punt. Ain't no way in hell they gonna win that game. Nope. Nope. You ain't convincing me. I'd have to see it.
1-16. I'm already prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, but see, that's why again. And I saw another thing talking about on Panthers Crave or one of those sites talking about how long do you think Scott Fitterer has? And I'm like, dude is a dead man walking. He should have been gone. What
Yeah.
is what? He's a personnel person. What personnel moves do you need to make between now and the end of this season?
Right.
You've been eliminated. He got one job and he don't have nothing to do.
I know.
Fire him. If you ain't
B,
firing him now, are you telling him that you keeping him?
I would hope not. But let me propose a hypothetical to you while we kind of on the GM topic.
Yeah.
Just say
Mm-hmm.
Chicago loves Brian Burns,
Mm-hmm.
loves him to the point where they're willing to give up one of their first round picks
Mm-hmm.
in order to get Brian Burns on their team.
Mm.
I'm just hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Would you use that number 1 pick for a quarterback?
Yeah.
Me too. I sure would. I would not even hesitate as long as you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, only because I kept going. But their line, but this. But you know what? I've seen that line block good enough for Chuba to get through.
Thank
I've
you.
seen that. I've seen that line block well enough at times for Sanders to get through. I've seen that line do a lot of things when they're in the running game. But you know what? I don't see that line activate with is with the passing game.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's really just more of the quarterback and the way he uses his line.
That
Now,
line wasn't so bad with Dalton.
nope. And I'm not going to say Iquanu hasn't disappointed this year. That's definitely uh, a cause, but would I use it on a absolutely?
Hell
Um,
yeah.
you got to
Hell yeah.
find a franchise quarterback, and you got to go back. And I'm sorry, I hate to say that about short quarterbacks and things like that, but statistically, this league is a taller quarterback league, at least 6'1", and that's on the shorter end. 6'2", 6'3". I don't care. I mean, yeah, you tell me that he can think through stuff and everything. That ain't gonna help him. That's like
No.
Kyler Murray talking about, he just play Madden and he just do what he do on Madden on the field. They ain't gonna last for so long.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
just concerned Bryce ain't built for this, man. He just ain't. I mean, not only physically, but mentally either, man.
right,
So
right.
if it comes down, if I was the GM and they pose that trade to me and I'm sitting there at like number 4 or 5 and May from UNC is still on the board, I'm grabbing that dude and I'm not thinking twice about it. And I will let him battle it out with Bryce
And
and
this
and, and
this summer have a
yep,
real quarterback
have a
competition,
real competition.
one that
Yep.
him and Dalton should have had.
Yep. Brian Burns, I love you. See you later, though. We'll
Well,
have to go to work and try to get another
well,
pass rushing specialist.
when
But
we got rid of McCaffrey, the running game took off.
yeah,
So sometimes it's addition by subtraction.
yeah,
And in my opinion, somebody was talking to me about that the other day about letting McCaffrey go. I said, well, we all love C-Mac here. We didn't really want him to go, but we knew that this team wasn't headed nowhere fast. And it was better to let this player that we did love go somewhere where he could be productive and really be the player that he was supposed to be. And he's doing that. And I'm more than happy for him.
Me too.
Um, you know, so and I feel the same way about Brian Burns is that keeping him here is a more of a selfish move than anything because it's just wasting him away. By the time the team is actually ready to be consistently competitive, he's going to be either at the peak or coming off of the other side of his career.
That's
He's
right.
still going to be a serviceable dude, but he's not going to be that dude that he was when he came in. Anthony says, "What happened after?" Oh, sorry, Anthony. I know you had that other comment. What wide receiver on the Panthers uh, brings fear to people? He needs weapons. Well, Anthony, let me ask you this because I see you asked another question. Let me ask you this: before the season started, because me and Rand, we broke down. I'm sorry, y'all. I ain't digging my nose. My nose is itching. I don't know why. It always does it when I'm on air. So I'm not digging up my nose. Anyway, um, before the season started, we broke down every single team, and there were a couple of times, and this is a specific one where we said, "Do any of these receivers' names scare you?" And I'm going to tell you the team that we said this to: the Houston Texans.
Thank you.
We said that about the Texans. Did the name Dale Brown, what's the other guy's name? Did they scare you when you heard them?
Collins.
Yeah, Nico Collins. Did those names scare you? Did Tank Dale, Nico Collins, Noah Brown, did that scare you?
Nope.
When you heard that?
Nope.
When you heard that they got the wide receiver from Dallas, Schultz, did that scare you? It
Sure
didn't scare
didn't.
me. It
But
scared me.
sometimes a good quarterback can make a wide receiver weapon.
How many times did New England have that? I brought that up last week. How many
Multiple.
times did Brady have receivers nobody heard of? How many times did Aaron Rodgers have Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb? Ain't nobody going, "Oh damn, man, we got Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb today." Who said that? But all they did was just catch them passes from A-Rod. They'd somehow come up with them clutch third down receptions and keep the chains moving. Yeah, there's certain teams, like Rand just said, that hey, the quarterback can make the player. That's what you need in a top pick. I always use the term force multiplier. And I use that
That's right.
because these are guys that are supposed to be so transformational that they can take guys and they make them better. Perfect example. Ultimate guy ended up being Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan took other guys, Jags, just a guy on his team, and they go win 6 rings. In and of themselves, they weren't going to win no rings. You think John Paxson on any other team going to win a ring? You think Steve Kerr on any other team, in and of himself, is going to win a damn ring? But those two guys were instrumental in helping them win rings. He was a force multiplier because he knew he could draw in defenses, kick the ball out, and they'd be ready. Craig Hodges, other than setting houses on fire, was he going to be good at anything else?
Yeah, I hate when not talking about you, Anthony, but I hate when guys kind of bring that up, man. Because to me, I mean, you look at Andy Dalton, he took those same wide receivers and turned into over 350 yards passing in one game.
Exactly.
And then you have several quarterbacks around the league that came out in their rookie years that had deficiencies in the line. They didn't have support of a running game.
Yep.
They didn't have no big name wide receivers, but they just come out and start balling. Just come out and start balling, man. To me, once you start talking about, well, maybe we could support him with the offensive line. Maybe we could support him with a running game. To me, a quarterback is who he freaking is. And you're going to see him be himself no matter what kind of line is in front of him, no matter what kind of wide receiver weapons. We've seen it with Tannehill when they said that about Tannehill in Miami. Oh, he just had a bad offensive line, didn't have any weapons, didn't have a run game. They bring him to Tennessee. He flourished for a year, and he went right back to the same Tannehill that he's always been throughout his entire career.
Right.
We've seen it with Baker Mayfield. Baker's the same Baker, be it in Cleveland, Carolina, or Tampa Bay. He's got weapons in Tampa Bay now, so he's kind of thriving and looking okay. But
Mhm.
he's just a guy. He's not ever going to live up to that number one height. Never.
Right, right. Because he's not making guys better. Mike Evans
No,
was a 1,000-yard receiver before you even knew
that
get
is
his name
exactly
out your
right.
mouth. Chris Godwin was already a dynamic receiver before you even spoke his name.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't add Mike Evans. He just caught for 1,000 yards his past game against the Panthers, but it ain't like you chalked him up now to a 1,500-yard receiver.
Yeah. So you could you could do those improvements for Bryce, but you're gonna see the same Bryce, man. You're
Yeah,
gonna see an improved version of Bryce, but he's never gonna be that guy. He's never gonna live up to that number one hype.
right.
I'm willing to put money on it.
Yeah, it's the same thing I said about Dak Prescott. Dak was a guy that he could put up big numbers for himself, but he wasn't a force multiplier for his team. He could sit there and end up with a bunch of empty calorie yards and stuff like that, but he wasn't force multiplying the team. He didn't make the team better. He just made his stats better, and that's two totally different things. The other thing Anthony just added two more things. What happened after week 6 with Adam Thielen? Dude hasn't been the same. Well, he's 34. um, he wasn't supposed to be your number one receiver. I mean, when you've got other guys like Terrace Marshall and Mingo on the team, and the old guy is more than beating you out in receptions and yards per catch, yards per game, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, hell, he wasn't supposed to be the bell cow for Bryce Young. He's supposed to be able to kind of spread it around, even involve some of the tight ends, Tommy Tremble, Ian Thomas, Hayden Hurst. They went after Hurst. I thought that was a great pick because for a young quarterback, having a tight end like that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that though, because you say what happened to him. He's still top 10 in the league as far as catches. Last time I checked, he was still top 10 in the league for receptions. So I don't think anything's happened to him.
Yeah, and see that proves my point too. You're right. He is. He's got 80 catches, which means that he's tied with T.J. Hawkinson, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other guys above him with more catches.
That's impressive.
I mean, he's got more catches than Puka and Kelsey. The guys that have fewer catches than Adam Thielen, Kelsey, DJ Moore, Devontae Adams, Chris Olave, Sam Laporta, Devontae Smith, Mike Evans,
Wow.
Nico Collins, Zay
Yeah,
Flowers.
so you asked me what's wrong with Thielen. I'm gonna tell you nothing, man.
It kind of goes back to my Florida State thing. What more can he do? Damn, he need help. What happened? Did nothing happen? Now, is it translating to him getting in the end zone? No, he ain't getting no touchdowns out of it. I mean, he's got 4 touchdowns to show. He's got 750 yards receiving. He's on pace to hit 1,000, maybe if he gets about 80 yards a game, he could probably hit it. But that's not really the measure to me. He is Bryce Young's first, second, third, fourth option if he could get that far in the count before he's on the ground. There is no other option offensively. Every now and then you will see Jonathan Mingo pop up. Every now and then you will see some other receiver emerge. But for the most part, if you want to talk about consistent when it's 3rd and 4, who are they looking for first? Adam Thielen.
He's looking for Thielen.
Yeah,
to his detriment. He's
to his
looking.
detriment. It shouldn't be because, like I said, Adam Thielen. I said he was 34. He's 33. Okay, so I gave him an extra birthday. He's 33 years old. He should not be your primary target. The fact that he is and he's top 10 and top 9, tied for 9th in the league in receptions, that's not a good thing. So here's my thing. If you draft Bryce Young and you say, well, we're going to need to have better receivers, a better line, a better this, a better that, and you know you don't have it, why is he playing?
Right.
Why did you draft him if your conclusion was for him to be great, he's going to need all of these things. Well, you know damn well you don't have it. You knew that you didn't have but so many receivers, especially when they talked about. Sorry, my nose still itching. Especially when y'all talked about, uh, we don't really have a true number one receiver, but we think that's a good thing because he can just throw to anybody, and opposing defenses can't just zero in on one of us.
Well, that was a thought process, but Bryce does not go through his progressions. He doesn't. I mean, perfect example. You could pull this up on YouTube. Go look at the highlight of the game they played Sunday against Tampa Bay.
Mhm.
4th down and 1 with the game on the line. Bryce drops back, has plenty of time. He stares down Adam Thielen the entire time, throws it to him in double coverage. Meanwhile, Sanders creeps out of the backfield. He's wide freaking open to catch a 1-yard pass to extend that drive.
Because he's
Go
trained.
pull it up. For
Yeah,
anybody that doesn't believe me, you
trained
will
is
see
trained.
Bryce
Yeah.
take the hike and stare down Thielen the entire time.
Anthony says, so is Bryce Young a Trey Lance without the injuries?
Well, I don't know what really Trey looks like. So
Yeah, I don't know who knows. The only thing I don't think so, but I don't really know for sure because I don't think we've seen enough. Hey, Mr. Jeff Daniels, how you doing? I don't think we've seen enough of Trey for us to be able to answer that question. But what I'll answer it this way. What I know of Trey is he's more mobile than Bryce. And I
definitely.
feel like if Bryce was more mobile, there are times when if he rolled out and threw on the run, he could have some success if he was good throwing on the run. Standing back there and looking for clean pockets to throw out of, number one, when you're undersized, number two, when your defense can't stop a cold, is craziness. If you can't extend that play by either stepping up into a pocket, letting it collapse behind you instead of in front of you, or rolling to one side or the other, preferably the side where Micah Parsons or a Miles Garrett isn't waiting for you, um, then you're not going to be able to extend the play more than those 2.5 seconds that you're barely getting. And the way to be able to utilize your down, how do you say you don't have weapons when you have downfield receivers that you can't get the ball to because by the time they're breaking out of their route, their downfield route, you're already on the ground? I think it's too easy to blame the receivers. It's too easy. He ain't got nobody to throw to. What makes you say that?
Because I mean, really, because he's not throwing to him. I'm gonna go on. I know I'm kind of beating up Bryce here, and that's not really the intent of today's show. But I just got to call it what it is, man. He doesn't go through his progressions, and we're
No.
heading into week 14, and Bryce Young still does not know what open looks like in the NFL. He doesn't.
Correct. Correct. But yeah, when you look at the stats, Jonathan Mingo was their leading receiver, man. 6 receptions for 69 yards.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield threw Mike Evans 7 balls for 162. And it wasn't like Baker was ultra impressive. 14 of 29 for 202. 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
Typical Baker game.
Yeah. Chuba was productive, 25 carries, 25 freaking carries. There's a commitment to the run. I'm glad to see that. 104 yards, 2 touchdowns off of it. He was making a difference on the ground. But this is when you need your quarterback to then come up with a play here and a play there. He doesn't have to be great all game. He has to be great at moments you need him to be great
Yeah.
and build
You
on
know,
that, especially when you're leaning on a running game like that. 25 carries is a lot.
for you Bryce defenders out there, do me a favor this next game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at the end result of his play. Look at his head. And that's all I'm gonna say. Look at
Okay.
his head. His
Mm-hmm.
head will be in one position as soon as he gets the ball hiked to him. And that position is usually wherever Thielen is at. He
Yep.
doesn't go through his progressions, man.
Yep. And if you're seeing that and you're leaving him out there, you're not doing him because you're more worried about his confidence, or you don't want to admit that you were wrong for putting him in there in the first place. You're not doing him any good. And if we draft a quarterback next year and say Bryce ends up bouncing back and he looks great and everything else, guess what? One of them get traded for a very high value.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah.
what you do. There are going to be other teams that are definitely going to be looking for starting quarterbacks. So hey, it's just hey, when y'all have a fantasy draft and you got two big dogs on your team and you're looking to trade one for extra value, you move them like that too. It ain't no different. Anthony says, at least you don't have a coach that's there for health benefits. Ron Rivera needs to go ASAP. He hadn't done nothing. I'll trade you Burns for Ron Rivera. No, we're good. No, that's you know what? I wouldn't put it past Tepper to entertain that, but no, we good. Look, Ron Rivera is a great guy. He's a good players coach. But sometimes when you've been somewhere so long, you've lost the room and they just don't hear you anymore. You're talking past them, not to them. And
Yep.
they just can't respond. They need a different voice. The Raiders did that with Antonio Pierce. They just could not hear Josh McDaniels. They heard Antonio Pierce and they responded. The Texans hear D'Amico Ryans. There's just some guys that can hold a locker room better than others. The Steelers, after all this time, still hear Mike Tomlin talk about
The standard is the standard, baby.
Standard, yeah, absolutely. Now they will tell you that. I've heard some of them some of the guys after the fact say they still hear Mike Tomlin talking. So some guys can just hold it. Some can hold it for a certain amount of time. Some can hold it a little bit longer. So it just really, really depends on that coach. It sounds to me from everything that I heard too, in addition to what Rand was talking about, Frank Reich was not holding that locker room like that.
No, not even close.
And not even with the respect of his other coaches that I thought he handpicked.
Yeah, not with respect. Well, you know, he handpicked them.
These guys.
Yeah, he handpicked them because Tepper told him to. So yeah, again, Tepper interfering with
So we at the grocery store, and everything in the cart is because you pointed to it and told me to put it in there.
Right, there you go.
You didn't even say, you eat that? You ain't even ask me if I even ate it. I might be lacto intolerant. You tell me to get that skim milk over there. Like what? Hey.
Yeah, you go into Food Line and you want to pick up the things to make spaghetti, and Tepper is pointing to you to get taco shells and ground beef and, and enchiladas, and all of a sudden you making Mexican food instead of your spaghetti.
Exactly. Jeff Daniels says, why isn't his quarterback coach working this out? If he's not responding, he'll be gone, like Brian just said. And
hey, is this the Jeff Daniels I know? Jeff Daniels from Facebook. What's up, bro?
Yeah.
Wow. Long time no see.
Exactly. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Why isn't the quarterback coach sitting there? You see him in practice. He said, yep.
Welcome to the show, bro. I've known Jeff since I was in the 4th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Brother from a different mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jeff, I wish I understood they practice all week long. Why don't and you watching the game tape? How much tape do you need to see? He takes a 2 or 3 step drop and gets laid out. and you know that, okay, I mean, you ain't never seen a quarterback step up in the pocket. I mean, people said that last week, and I said I've seen Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not comparing him to Aaron Rodgers person to person, but from the simple fact that Aaron Rodgers did 2 things great. When he didn't have an offensive line, which was most of the time in Green Bay, he extended plays by rolling out or stepping up in the pocket. And when nothing was there, nobody was better at just throwing the ball away.
Or he would throw a receiver open.
Or would throw a receiver open. But a lot of times, if he didn't have anything, he would throw the ball harmlessly out of bounds. Aaron Rodgers could have 30 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in a year because he would protect the ball. You know, you can say anything you want about the dude, but protecting the ball, he was definitely the best at. Great hearing y'all. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. So when you're in the practice with him, start off with a 2.5-second clock. If you haven't gotten rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds by just standing in the pocket and you haven't rolled out, you haven't stepped up, you're still in position one that we're going to call it, which is your 3-step drop, and you hadn't gotten rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds, or you haven't stepped up, you haven't rolled out to try to throw on the run, we're going to call the play dead. To get that clock in his head that if you're back there, 2.5 seconds is all you have. If you don't then make a decision to step up, even if that means stepping up, protecting the ball, taking the sack, even if that means stepping up, going for a 2-yard squirt, but just letting them tee off on you.
Yeah. How many times have you seen Bryce receive the snap and then kind of just wait to be sacked?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he was waiting for the inevitable. He knew it was
Weird,
coming.
right? It's
Very
weird.
weird. But you know what? I saw that a long time ago with David Carr. Dude got sacked so many times in Carolina, man. It was almost like he had PSTD. He just knew it was coming.
Yeah, let me go ahead and get this sack over with so I could catch my breather on the sidelines.
Yeah. Let me put on some new white gloves. Y'all keep hitting. Yeah, and they kept doing it. I mean, dude got sacked more than anybody because he just knew as soon as he got that ball in his hands. I was afraid he was gonna start just automatically passing it to the other team just so they wouldn't hit him. And you know, after a while, but see, Bryce is gonna be damaged goods. Anthony says, "Who's to blame? Who's more to blame, the offensive coordinator, or the offensive line coach, or the quarterback coach?"
Good question.
Dave Gettleman. I'm sorry, was that wasn't an option? Oh, you mean out of those options? We don't know because
I'm going to say the offensive coordinator.
I will say the coordinator too, because it would seem like to me the coordinator would get with the other offensive coaches, whether it's the quarterback coaches, the receiver coaches, O-line coaches, and they all have their meetings, and then they break them down into position meetings too.
That's right. It's his design.
Right. Yeah. Normally your position coaches are like Moses coming down from the mountain with he didn't write what's on the tablets. He just bringing them down to share with you. So a lot of times the quarterback coaches know what it is that the coordinator is looking for, and he works with the quarterbacks to say, hey, these are the kind of plays we're going to be running. These are the sets that we're going to be running. So let's practice that. Let's go in under the in the shotgun. Let's go under center. Let's do a 3-step drop. Let's do a quick route, an out route. Let's do a deep route. Let's do all these different things so we can be prepared for those play calls when the offensive coordinator communicates with the quarterback. Same thing with the receivers, working with them on double moves, working with them on different routes, wheel routes, screens, smoke routes, all those kind of different things. So I think it does start with the offensive coordinator in that regard because, like you just said, Rand, it's his scheme.
You know what? I'm going to also take up for Bryce a little bit when I say this, and this is a little unbelievable too. But check out the report in the Charlotte Observer, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I think it's called the Hunger Games philosophy or something to that respect that is going on in Charlotte right now. But like I said, all these things are starting to come out now that the coach has been fired. So check this. Tepper did not like Bryce's footwork and demanded it to be worked on. You are an owner of the team, bro. Why are you concerned with a quarterback's footwork and then trying to implement skills for him to work on in practice when you're the owner?
Bro,
this doesn't make any sense, man.
I'm getting Jerry Jones vibes now.
Check it out. It's some crazy stuff that's being reported.
I'm getting Jerry Jones vibes. Other than the fact of being a media whore and wanting to find the closest camera so we can see his makeup up close. That's some Jerry Jones stuff. Just ain't said it, Jones. Yeah, don't it?
That is crazy, man.
Jumping on some podcast, or getting in front of the cameras after the game. Well, we believe in Dak. We believe in the process. We think we got good guys, and we continue to play this way. We'll eventually make it there before I die. Bro, Tepper, Daniel Snyder, Jerry Jones, walk away. Just write. All I need you to do is write the check. That's all I
Please just
need
write
you to
the
do.
checks, man.
Just write it. I need you to countersign checks. That's all I need you doing. Stop all that other stuff. If you got a question about his footwork and you want to have a talk with the coaches, hey, is it me or is there something going on with his footwork? And the coaches may be able to say, yeah, we've noticed a little bit of that, and we're already kind of trying to work that out with him. But if you just laying down edicts of, hey, well, and then hey, Jerry Jones Jr. Don't stop with Bryce. Then you got Icky sitting there just letting
That's what I
people
was about to say. You
his
should
ass
be
like
working
a
with Icky.
matador. If you want to go with all the positions, don't stop at the QB. Go with the damn tackle over there. Just
Yeah,
let
that's
go
where
with
I'll take up for
go with
that's
some
where
of
I'll
these
take up
damn
for Bryce a little bit.
go with some of these damn pre-snap penalties.
Yeah.
You got CJ Magnum PI over there giving up yardage. Bro,
Mug'em PI.
what are you doing? And hell, don't stop there. If you want to be a scout so bad, how about on Saturdays, you start going around the country finding players that we can draft in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds that will be able to stay on the team longer than a year.
Yeah. Tepper is not making a lot of friends around this area right now.
No.
You saw today too, he also made a decision to snatch training camp out of Wofford, South Carolina. So training camp will now be held in Charlotte, which royally pisses off the South Carolina folks because they were promised a facility down there. First of all, they were promised headquarters down there,
Yep.
and that didn't work out. Now training camp, which has been a tradition in Charlotte since the Panthers have been here, is being taken away and brought back to Charlotte. So it'll be the Charlotte Panthers before long. South
I mean,
Carolina
it's going to
trying
have
to
to
get their own
because,
team.
because the way we sold it to Carolina was we were going to include both states in a lot of the things, but you're centralizing everything in Charlotte now. It really is the Charlotte Panthers. And
Yeah,
people have said that before, and we tried to say, well, no, we do a lot of things in South Carolina because Jerry Richardson went to Wofford.
he did.
Uh, and that was kind of his thing where he wanted to give back a little bit to the point that the guys would go to the campus. They would stay in the dorms and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. They would have their camps and stuff there. So it was just one of those things. It wasn't that far away, but it was still a way of being able to say we recognize South Carolina as part of being part of the Carolina Panthers. So I kind of almost feel like I don't know if he was just. I mean, what's next? You gonna take down Jerry from in front of the stadium?
I honestly think what's next is the Charlotte part is coming. I do. I do.
you know, if that would get us to the playoffs, I wouldn't be totally against it. I think it would help. It would be a short-sighted move because there are people in Columbia, there are people in Raleigh and Durham and Wilmington that wear Panthers gear. They can't make the games, but I think you have them scrimmage USC. Jeff, I'd hate to see that because I got a feeling that would be too. I don't know if USC would win, but I think it would be more competitive than it should.
I sure do.
I think it'd be too. I bet Bryce would get sacked, or well, I guess you can't sack him. He got a
Absolutely.
red shirt, but he get touched. They can tap him, but you can't knock him down with the red shirt on. But that would be the only reason that he doesn't get sacked. Isn't that funny that the only thing that can stop somebody from sacking Bryce Young is a red shirt? That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy. There's no other defense. Maybe that's what they should do in the games. Right before the game, right before he come out there, just put a red shirt on. See what happens. Jeff said, "Damn." At this point, it may be a little bit of hyperbole, but it seems to be true. All right, let's run through some of these other games. I know we only got about 20 minutes, but let's run through some of these and just give me your impressions of some of these games, Rand. We had the Seattle Seahawks last Thursday night's game was a competitive game. It was a damn shootout. 35-41. The team that had the ball last one. Well, no. The Seahawks had it last, and Geno just couldn't get the ball down the field like he did in other plays. 35-41. Cowboys come up big. First game that the Cowboys played where they beat somebody with a winning record. So after that game, oh my God. After that game, man, my Facebook was just stupid. I mean, these motherfuckers were just celebrating. I'm just sitting there like, really? I mean, damn. It was one game. Y'all finally beat somebody with a winning record, and they all had their chest out on my Facebook. I mean, I ain't heard from them. They were holding their breath, everything. Now they all of a sudden like, yep, that's it. We back. We them boys. They hate us because they ain't us and all them shirts and stuff. I'm just like, oh Jesus Christ. Man.
True
So
test comes this Sunday. True test comes this Sunday.
we gonna see. We're gonna see. Geno Smith, 23 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Dak Prescott, 29 of 41, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns. I will say this. I am impressed. CD Lamb is starting to be that guy. It looks like that they drafted.
Oh yeah.
We talked the longest about, is he really a number one? Was he better with Amari being on the other side? Who is he? Who is his number two? And is that going to help him become the number one? And it looked like CD finally just said, "I don't give a damn. Just throw me the ball. I'm gonna go get it." And
Yeah.
Dak has obliged him. And
No
it's
question.
working.
CD is a one in this league. No question.
Yeah. He's all of the doubts that we had. He now has he's third in catches.
Yep.
He's got 90 catches for 1,182 yards. As a matter of fact, Keenan Allen has 1,175. I don't think anybody else is beating him right now. I was gonna see if Tyreek was. Yes, Tyreek is leading everybody at 1,481. So he's number 2. But isn't that crazy? Tyreek has 300 yards more than CD Lamb, with only 3 receptions more.
That is crazy, man. That's a lot of bombs.
That's an extra 100 yards per reception.
That's a lot of bombs.
Cheetah is nuts.
Yeah.
Anthony says Cowboys might can beat the Eagles. Oh my God, can't believe I'm saying this as a Washington fan. I ain't gonna listen. I'm not gonna lie. I think right now the way the Eagles are playing, and look, winning cures a lot of things, but let's not act like we didn't see the Eagles potentially losing to San Francisco coming. Their back line defense has been giving up big plays, whether it's defensive pass interference, defensive holding, some blown big plays and things like that. I've seen it over the last couple of weeks, but then they just find a way to win. They've had to come back in so many games over the last 5 games where they were down, and they end up coming back, figuring out how to string together some timely plays to win the game. Timely throws to Devontae Smith, timely throws to AJ Brown, a couple of designed quarterback runs, things like that, where they end up with a chance to win the game and then they pull it off at the end. Hell, the game before this one, it took Jalen Hurts running into the end zone at the very end of the game for him to win.
Yeah.
So they were always very, very close. So here's 2 minds of this. I look at Philly as being more of a battle-tested team because they know how to play from behind and win. That can eventually catch up with you because you get so used to playing from behind that you expel too much energy trying to come back, and you can't always do it. And San Francisco is one of those teams, like I criticized Kansas City. They did exactly what Kansas City doesn't do, which is let off the gas when they get a lead. What San Francisco said was, we know we up, but Debo ain't done. We know we up, but Ayuk still wants some catches. We know we up, but Kittle's looking over there. He still look hungry. We're gonna keep feeding him. C-Mac still want to get a couple of break off a couple of runs on y'all.
That was a hell of a statement by San Francisco.
Oh, it wasn't. We back. We remember last year. Take that. That's what that was. So Dallas, do you have a chance of beating Philly? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. But if you don't, I want to see that same energy on Facebook this week that I've been seeing. Because what I saw after y'all beat Seattle, damn it, Seattle. I ain't saying they're not a bad team, but my God, Anthony says, would Eagle fans be a different team with without the tush push? You know, I mean, that's their thing. Everybody got their thing. I mean, we've always called it like a quarterback sneak, but they turned it into a tush push because they just get behind Jalen and they just run his ass out in the end zone, and it's worked time after time after time. And it's funny because the NFL is always a copycat league. They say it's very trendy. So now you see other teams trying to implement their version of the tush push too, or they don't call it the tush push; they call it the brotherly push because the city of
Yeah,
brotherly.
I would definitely change the name to that. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't call it the tush push; they call it the brotherly push, because they're brotherly love, so they push him on into the end zone. But yeah, I mean, it is a tush push, but a lot more teams I see try to implement that now, where they all get behind him, and I'm like, isn't that what y'all supposed to do anyway? Uh, Jeff says Randall about to rag on me because I was a Dallas fan when we were kids. I'll be shocked if they beat Philly.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'll be shocked too, only because it's a big game.
Yeah, my boy Jeff was all about some Tony Dorsett, some Drew
Ooh.
Pearson, some Tony Hill.
Oh, he
That's
go
back in
back.
the day. That's
Oh,
back in
he
the
go
day.
back to Staubach and all that.
Danny White. Danny
Danny
White.
White.
Yeah.
Woo!
Throwing
Yeah.
out a whole bunch of names that youngsters ain't gonna know nothing about. You're gonna have to go Google some of
Y'all
that.
better go on YouTube.
That's right.
Check it out. Shoot. Oh man. You name some big ones there. He's classic Dallas. Absolutely. I mean, I do see them playing better. I do see they still every now and then do some head scratching play calls that in the past could have cost them a game. They had one earlier where they could have ran the ball to keep the clock moving, but they threw the ball and when it became an incomplete pass at the end of the game, the clock automatically stops, and that gave Seattle the chance to come back and win that game because it put more time on the clock. They could have just sat there and ran it, even if they didn't get the first down. Time would have continued to tick away, and then you would have more of a moving clock. So there's still some kind of questionable plays. If it comes down to coaching, I'm gonna give it to Philly every time because I'm still not convinced that Mike McCarthy is that in-game coach that he needs to be. If the defense is okay and not special, I'm gonna give it to Philly because Dallas is still winning a lot off of their defense. Their defense puts them in good field position, which is really, really good. Whether it's three and outs, whether it's sudden changes, things like that. That's what that defense does for that offense. That defense really does help out that offense. Then the offense seals the deal because they're not being asked to do a lot. Um, they still have a few issues with the running game. I know Pollard gets a couple of big plays here and there, but their running game still isn't where they really, really need it to be. But neither is Philadelphia's right now. Um, they're really they're really down right now. So if you're going to get them, this is the time to get them. But look, their demise is not over right now. They're still 10-2. Dallas is 9-3. Now, if Dallas wins the game, they'll both be 10-3. Same record, but head to head would be split. So then you're going to have to go to other games.
Yeah, we're talking about mega importance this Sunday night, man. And that atmosphere in Dallas is going to be freaking amazing. I can't wait to see the game. I got it highlighted as my game of the week. Um, all
Oh,
eyes on the TV come Sunday night. It's going to
and
be
I'm
a
gonna,
great.
I'm, I'm gonna tell you, and then here's more crap in the game. This could be crazy. This could really be crazy. If Dallas wins, if the 49ers win, if Detroit wins, you would have four teams at 10-3. Now, San Francisco is still clearly the number one because they thumped on Philly and Dallas now. So they would still hold the number one overall, meaning the first round bye. The only bye out there is the overall number one.
Right.
So all four teams could potentially be at 10-3 after this weekend. But that doesn't mean anything. You know why? Because there's 17 games.
Yeah, you just never know, man. Like we picked up the papers to start the season, and we all had eyes on the AFC as the power
Bro,
conference.
bro.
Now
And
that
we
is completely shifted to the NFC.
not only that, Rand, we had eyes on the fact that the AFC North was going to be a tough ass conference, and the AFC North and the AFC West,
Yep.
and they have been. We sat there and we blew off the AFC East. Not so much blew them off. We knew that it was going to be between the Dolphins and the Bills for number one, and then basically we were looking at the Patriots dead last, and they are. The Jets at 4-8. The Jets are the Patriots are the only reason that the Jets aren't last. But the Dolphins and the Bills, the Dolphins are scaring me a little bit because it looks like that they play up to lower teams and they play down to more competitive teams. So that has me wondering. The Bills are bipolar at best. Josh Allen will do some things and then he'll do some things that'll make you scratch your head. The Kansas City Chiefs right now are 8-4, but this loss that they just took, um, to me, is almost like Philly, where they've been being exposed for the longest with these receivers.
Yeah. They've
And,
coming back down to earth.
and Mahomes been finding a way to kind of cover that. And now it's getting increasingly harder and harder for him to do. And you're starting to see holes in the Chiefs. I'm not saying that a 6-6 Denver team is going to catch them, but damn, the 6-6 Denver team is number 2 in that division, where we thought the Chargers would be number 2 and the Broncos and the Raiders would be fighting it out for 3 and 4. So
Yeah.
that's a little surprising. Not a lot of surprise. The AFC North, of course, the biggest surprise was the Bengals. We looked to be the clear-cut number 1. Ravens and Steelers fighting for number 2, and the Browns kind of bringing up the rear. The Browns and the Steelers are tied for second.
Yeah. And that's going to be crazy finish too because of the
Yes.
quarterback situation.
Yes.
I mean, Lamar is the only healthy quarterback in the whole North right now.
Exactly.
Just,
Yeah. Kenny Pickett
insane.
got knocked out. Trubisky came in. What's the 3-name quarterback for Cleveland? He's out. I can't think of his name. He's out. Then Joe Burrow's out. So you got Browning that came in and played a hell of a game the other night against the Jaguars. Ended up winning the game and just had a monster game. Sunshine gets hurt for the Jags. They're 8-4, but look out, the Texans are 7-5, right on your ass. So are the Colts are at 7-5. So there's going to be some 11-win teams that won't make it to the playoffs.
I don't know about that, but there might be a 9-win team, but I think the 11's safe.
At least, well, you think so? Because if the Colts are 7-5, the Texans are 7-5. So that means that they've got 4 games. No, they've played 12 games. So they've got 5 games left. If the Colts win 4 out of the 5, or the Texans win 4 out of 5, but the Jags win 4 out of their 5, then the Jags would win the South, but then you would have 2 11-win teams behind them. And I don't think they get in that way, or one of them won't, because of the division winners that you have in the other conferences, unless the Steelers can't win 11 games, unless the Bills can't win 11 games, then you'd be right. Then you could end up with 3 teams from the AFC South actually going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I just don't think you're going to see a whole lot of 11 teams in the AFC.
You think they're going to beat the hell out of each other and get to 9 or 10? Yeah, going to be a lot of 9 and 8s and 10 and 7s. Yeah, that's probably more true. And you're right, but I still think the AFC is going to be just a bloodbath. The NFC, it's what I would call more or less top heavy. Just discount the NFC South. A losing team is probably going to win the division. But when you look at the North, the West, and the East, you're going to have some top heavy teams. The NFC East is going to give you 2. The NFC West is going to probably give you 1. it's likely that the NFC North could give you 2 or 3. The Vikings are right there at the second spot, but they're tied with the Packers. And them feisty Packers, man. What's going on with Jordan Love?
He's all of a sudden got it. It took him all season, but it's all of a sudden clicking, man.
Did he get hit and then all of a sudden he woke up or what? What happened to Jordan Love?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But bringing this conversation 360, I mean, you would like to see that with Bryce Young too, man. Just
Yeah.
so you'd like to see him finally start to get it. But, as we said at the start of the show, doesn't go through progressions and some issues now with his confidence. So
Yeah.
it's going to be a project for Carolina, man.
I mean, Jordan Love outplays Patrick Mahomes. 25 of 36, 267, 3 touchdowns. Mahomes, 21 of 33, 210, 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
Didn't see it coming.
Didn't see it coming. Unbelievable. With the big lights. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at that game on paper going, man, why didn't they flex out the Philly-San Francisco game for that?
Yeah.
That should to me, that should have been the nighttime. It still should have been, even though that ended up being a pretty decent game. That was a big one. I know we don't have much time, but can you please explain to me, other than Kenny Pickett getting hurt, how the Cardinals put up 24 points on the Steelers?
So, as we are talking about next week, what big games you got on the schedule for you?
You know what?
I'm looking forward to the Philadelphia Dallas game. What game are you looking forward to?
I stayed away all show because even today, when I look at that score, I can't believe it. I just can't.
Bro, you talking about pissed off, man.
I can't.
I still ain't got over it, so it's a tender subject for me right now.
Because last week I indulged and I looked at the last 6 games of the Steelers schedule and said, "Man, I see 4-2." And you said, "Yeah, I do too," but it's the Steelers. I was like, no, they definitely have 4 out of these last 6. But I was counting Arizona as one of the 4.
Absolutely. Who didn't? Who didn't? That's just ridiculous, man. Then, Trubisky comes into the game, and I'm just sitting there counting down to when he has a turnover. You know it's going to happen. It's going to happen tomorrow night, too. It's just a matter of time. He's going to throw one or he's going to fumble it, man. Don't even get me started right now.
But now, looking into tomorrow's game, this is a must-win game for the Steelers.
Absolutely must win. They got to have it.
Yeah, I mean, because now you guys are having to keep up with the damn Browns.
They got to have this game, man. It's an at-home game against the New England Patriots, who barely scored 10 points they damn selves.
Yeah,
I know our offense
scored none last game. It was 6-0.
I know our offense is terrible, but we got to at least outscore these guys to win this game.
And the reason you got to have this game, too, is this gives you an opportunity to get up on Cleveland, because Cleveland has Jacksonville coming in. And I know that Sunshine has a high ankle sprain, and more likely than not, CJ Beathard is going to be starting for the Jaguars. But
yeah, Flacco looked good too. So yeah, we got to stay ahead of the Browns, because right now, if you asking me, Flacco with the Browns looks a whole lot better than Pittsburgh with Trubisky.
Yep. Oh, yeah, Flacco just basically learned a couple of plays. He's been staying in shape and stuff, but that was just his dust-off game. Yeah. So, yeah, if he's got another week to fully prepare, get all his reps in and stuff like that, they could take advantage of the Jags. And if they do, then that's going to help out the Texans. The Texans have to play the Jets. So as long as C.J. Stroud can stay away from Sauce Gardner, picking off his passes, that should be an interesting game too. You've got the Rams and the Ravens. I don't really see that being too much of a fight, even though Kyron Williams is back for the Rams, and that has definitely helped out their offense. That could definitely be a game changer for the Rams. I'm just still waiting for the Ravens to fall apart, and they probably going to end up winning 12, 13 games, me waiting and waiting. But I just don't really I just can't take him seriously in the playoffs until I see him do it in the playoffs.
Same.
You got Seattle and the 49ers as a 4 o'clock game. That should be an interesting game. You throw out the records and everything. They normally play each other very, very tight. Going to be really, really interesting to see how Geno Smith can bounce back from Dallas and also play against that 49ers defense. Bosa, Fred Turner, those guys back there just coming at him relentlessly. Be able to see if he's going to still be able to get the ball downfield to Lockett and Metcalf. You got the Bills and the Chiefs. That is a 4 o'clock game. What in the hell? Now, I get it. You got the Eagles and the Cowboys at 8 o'clock. But can we not switch that to a Monday night game and move the Titans and the Dolphins back to Sunday? Jesus Christ. So, yeah, we got the Bills and the Chiefs. That's going to be a good game. The Broncos and the Chargers, I wouldn't say it's going to be a good game, but I actually believe the Broncos got a chance of not beating the Chargers and continuing to put pressure on Kansas City. If Kansas City loses to Buffalo, Denver is really going to be in the mix if they can beat the Chargers, pushing on Kansas City.
Yeah, I got the Broncos picked for this game because Staley has just got the Chargers moving in a direction that's not good right now. And it's going to lead to his demise.
It is. What about the Bills and the Chiefs? With everything going on with the Chiefs, if the Bills play a clean game, meaning Josh Allen doesn't try to play hero ball and start to throw interceptions, the Bills could beat them.
I got the Bills picked for that one too. So it's going to be an interesting week, man.
That AFC West will be jacked up if those two scenarios play out. Then, of course, we got the Eagles and the Cowboys. It's going to be in Dallas at Jerry World. The Cowboys are celebrating the fact that I think they've won 14 games in a row in Dallas, or something like that. I think this is going to be the letdown. I don't see it. It's an 8 o'clock game. The lights are going to be bright. The Eagles don't like the taste that San Francisco left in their mouth, and I think they're going to bounce back and have something for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a different dude in this game. I think he's going to be laser focused. I believe he's going to be the best quarterback on the field that entire game.
Yeah.
Then you got the Packers and the Giants so we got 2 Monday games. Yeah.
2 Monday.
Oh, so you got the Packers and the Giants. I'm looking for the Packers to win that game, even though it's in New York. And then you got the Titans at the Dolphins. Good luck.
Might as well forfeit that one.
God dang it. Between Mostert and Achane running it, between Waddle and Cheetah catching it, hey, good luck with that. God bless.
Peter might have 200 yards.
I know. I've got him on my fantasy team. That's why I keep winning the Facebook Kings, because I've got Waddle, Tua, and Tagovailoa. I got Tagovailoa, Waddle, and Tyreek.
How in the hell did you manage that one?
Because somebody decided to draft Sam. Because I knew what to go after. I couldn't believe I drafted Tyreek first. Kept going around in the draft, and then I saw Waddle was still there. I was like, that's crazy. So I got Waddle. And then Tua, I got in late rounds. Nobody's paying attention to Tua because everybody's still thinking concussions probably. I said, you know what? If Tyreek going to end up having a good season, it's going to be because of the guy that threw him the ball. So I might as well go ahead and get all 3 of them. So that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why, hey, playoffs.
I'm about to sneak into the playoffs, so
oh, come on in. It feels fine on this side. It feels great. All right. That's all the time that we have. Thank y'all for joining. Y'all can always catch us every single week, Head-to-Head Sports. We'll do it again next week, and we will see y'all again. See y'all soon. Thanks.